Hi everybody. Now that we have learned some things about penguins, we are going to draw one together. And this penguin is going to be kind of looking off to the side, and we want him to take up most of our paper. So I've turned my paper vertical up and down the tall way so that our penguin can be standing and fill up most of our paper. So I am going to start with like the top of his head, and I'm going to make kind of a like a rainbow line kind of that comes around. A little bit darker. And I'm going to come down. And like I said, he's going to take up most of my page. So that's like his back, top of his head and down his back. And then I'm going to go here and kind of curve and make his beak. Around. And I'm going to kind of just come around so it's like, you know, stuck in his head, like coming off his head. I feel like maybe his beak needs to be a little bit bigger. And now I'm going to come in. This is the bottom of his head. And then I'm going to come down and around to the bottom. So this is like the full penguin body. And you know what? I think I'm going to make mine go a little bit bigger there at the bottom. But just curve around a little bit. I like that better. Of course, it's not going to be perfect. I mean, it's nature. Now we're going to do the bottom of the penguin. I always feel like penguins kind of look like they're wearing shorts. Come up like a hill kind of and back around. That's just a wavy line that comes up and around. Ooh, I don't love that either, but that's okay. I'm drawing pretty dark so you can see it, so he's not erasing very clean. So for his feet, I'm just going to come 2 straight lines down and 2 diagonal lines out. And then it's just kind of like a hopping line, like hop, hop, 2 little hills. Down, diagonal, hop, hop. All right, so far so good. Now, we've got to get like, you know, part of the penguin is black and part of the penguin is white, as we learned. They all have white bellies. So I'm going to kind of come around here like a C shape and down. This is all the black part. And then a little bit on this side too, just to show that the back side of him is black. Get his eye in up here. And if you want to make are those emperor penguins that have the eyebrows? You could make those too, if you want. That's up to you. Now I'm going to put one of his wings, but as we learned, they're really not wings because penguins don't fly. They're more flippers. Mine went right to the edge of my page, and I think this one's probably going to go off the page a little bit because my penguin is so big. You might have room for yours. I don't know. Ooh, I like it. He looks good. And I'm gonna maybe put like a little bit of a tail there, like so. Well, maybe it should go on this side, so that you can tell that there's a little bit of a tail on there too. That makes a little more sense. It's not big, but so I've got him all finished, and we know that his environment is mostly snow and ice, right? So I'm gonna make some ice and make it kind of like I don't know, jaggedy. Is that a word? I don't know. Maybe make like some lines come down so it looks like, you know, it's a big chunk of ice. I like that. I'm not going to put anything in the sky yet because we're going to do something kind of cool for that. So I'm not going to do anything with that. Next, I'm going to add color. Now, here's the thing. With penguins, We know they are black and white. There is not a whole lot of color on them. So that's what we're gonna do in the sky. We know that the outside of him is black. And I'm using crayon for this. I would strongly recommend you use crayon for this part. You'll see why when we do our sky. So if you have crayon, use crayon. Even if you don't love coloring with crayon, you love coloring with marker, you're gonna want crayon for this because we're gonna be adding water, and if you use marker, it's gonna bleed all over. So I'm outlining. All of this is black. Obviously, I will leave his belly white and his face white, but all of the outside of him is black. So I am gonna speed this up now and color him in. So you can see that I have my penguin done. Oh, you know what? I do want to kind of just outline along here. I like that. And now I'm going to work on my eyes. Now I colored kind of hard. I got some black crispies around there, which is not great, but that's okay. I was going to just kind of outline this, but then when I saw these lines on there, it kind of made me think of like a glacier or something. So I'm gonna really lightly, and I mean, I'm just really lightly with the blue. We know that ice is not blue. We know that it's mostly white, but I'm just giving it a little bit of reflection. Because you know, in books and such, like often it has a blue tinge. And now let's talk about the sky. So one of the things I miss most about being together in the art room is painting. We don't get to paint very much. And this is a kind of a nice way to paint. It's not really painting, but it's a nice way to at least get that effect a little bit. If you have markers, and I just have regular old Crayola markers, mine do not say washable, but they are still water-based. I'm gonna use blue and green and purple. Those are my cool colors for my sky. And what I'm gonna do with these is just kind of make some lines that go in my sky around my penguin. And I'm not making any kind of pattern or design other than, ooh, I touched that one when it was wet. It's the curse of being a lefty. I'm not making any kind of specific design. I'm just kind of putting some colors together. And notice I am using the side of my marker, and I am going right up to the edge of my penguin. And sometimes I'm going right next to the colors, and sometimes I'm leaving some space. Whoa. And you might think like, yeah, that doesn't look like a real sky. No, not yet. I agree. But wait till you see what I'm gonna do next. So as I get this color in there, I could leave it like this. If you like it like this, great. Leave it. But if you want to get a more painterly feel, you're just gonna use water to blend this color. Now I have a paintbrush, and if you don't have a paintbrush, you could use a Q-tip. You know, Q-tips like that we use to clean our ears. You can use a regular Q-tip, and I literally just have plain old water. Just water from my faucet in an old cup. So I'm gonna take my brush, and I am going to, paint with marker. It's just water, friends. But because it's water-based markers, it spreads it around. Now, if you have different kind of paper than I do, it might not work as well. And if you don't have a paintbrush, you could use a Q-tip. It works, I promise. And you can get these really cool qualities, especially if you don't brush it very much. You just kind of let the water do the work. You get some really cool things. This is why I wanted you to use crayon, because if you go right up next to that penguin, even if you get water on the crayon, it doesn't mess it up. If that were marker, it'd be smearing black all over. If you do not have Q-tips, you could try a paper towel or a napkin. Anything that will get wet, and you could smear the water around. That's all I'm doing, is smearing it around. And look at that. Now that is a cool sky. If you use less marker, it would be lighter. The more marker, the brighter. How about that? Isn't that the coolest? It's like painting without actually having our paint.